Stealing Hot Rods. I'm Jose RPM's the Ironworking Gearhead, and well, I just want to touch some base with you guys right now and talk to you guys, kind of go over ironworking. Let's talk about it, guys. So, for those of y'all who follow my channel, y'all know I haven't been on in a while. I'm actually got the yard guy here. He's actually going to be doing the yard right now, cleaning up everything because cement contractors are going to be coming and laying down a simple slab out there in the back, about 16 by 16, 20 by 20 or so. Then I'll go ahead and I'll throw my metal building on top of that. But for the meanwhile, I want to talk to you guys about ironworking, about the different opportunities, job opportunities, and things like that that are in this trade. So it's gonna give it a couple minutes, maybe about another minute or two. And I'm gonna check out my boy real quick, and I'm gonna see if anybody's gonna jump on, and we'll be right back. Okay. So let's go ahead and start this chat real quick, guys. I need a haircut. All right, so ironworking, guys. I want to talk to you guys today about ironworking. If anybody's interested in steel erection, if anybody's interested in construction or anything like that, I actually started off my career. I used to work for an RV park doing like construction, cutting grass and that, like a maintenance guy type of thing. And I went to school for combination welding at STVT here in Westaco, Texas, and I actually did a 10-month course at that, graduated with that, and headed out to New Brunswick, Texas, where I worked in a shop. So I worked in the shop for a while, ended up getting a job with Henry and Sons Construction. They're the ones that do all of the building and all that stuff for the action water parks, the Slitterbonds. So I worked there for a little while, traveled to Kansas City, Missouri, worked out there, and then I ended up hearing about Local 66 Union Hall. So I actually jumped on that and became an iron worker. So I'm going to talk to you guys about ironworking today and kind of go more into depth about why I want to start my own school of ironworking, because ironworking, I guess, like in a lot of other trades and a lot of other areas, a lot of other fields of work, there's a lot of different positions that you can be in. So for me, when I started off as an iron worker, obviously I was a helper first. I was a gopher, go for this, go for that. And then over time, I was looking and seeing how the guys were moving, the type of tools they had, and all that type of things. And eventually, I ended up becoming a rigger. I was rigging, and I was actually doing like a lot of millwright work and things like that, setting machinery. And then little by little, going on different job sites, I was throwing decking, I was bolting up and things like that, and I kind of got my hands in it all. And eventually I knew that I wanted to be a connector. I wanted to be the one that was going to be calling the cranes and going to be actually bringing in the steel, flying the steel, connecting it all up, and building the structure, making way for the other guys behind me to go ahead and throw the decking, weld it out, bolt it up, do all that good stuff. And eventually I did end up becoming a foreman, which kind of pulled me away from the connecting portion. It actually pulled me towards where I would have been like doing a lot of the planning and procedures. As for the blueprints, I was getting those and doing like a lot of detail work. But ironworking in general, there's a lot of different factions of it, a lot of different parts to being an ironworker. And with that being said, there's a lot of different places that you can put yourselves if you don't necessarily like welding, if you don't necessarily like bolting up, throwing decking, rigging, connecting, things like that. There's so many different things that you can do as an iron worker. That way you can actually be comfortable and have fun while you work. To me, I'm a pretty good welder. I'm certified, American Welding Society, and it's not the most fun thing for me to do, to just stand there all day burning rod. I like to do it every once in a while. I really like to do it when I'm connecting, and every once in a while we need to have maybe a knife plate doesn't match up or a bearing plate doesn't match up or something like that. Good morning, Mohammed. Good morning. God bless you, and I hope you're doing good this morning. It's Monday morning. We're starting a good week this morning. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Um, so, like I was saying, welding, I do like it a lot. I'm a pretty damn good welder. I was actually a welding inspector as well for a little while. Good morning, Autumn. How you doing? Hope you're having a good morning this morning, Monday morning, beautiful morning. So, when I was a welding inspector, I kind of realized that welding wasn't my favorite portion of the job, my favorite part of the job. So, what I ended up doing is connecting. And when I was a connector, that is where I'm doing good. Thank you. I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for asking. I'm. I became a connector, and that was more fun for me because I was moving every single day. You know, we might start. Well, we not. We might. We do start off on the foundation of the ground. So when I was a connector, a lot of times our job entails actually marking out, putting all the lines on the floor, marking everything out, making sure that everything is going to be square before we actually start putting the steel in. And once we put the steel in, when we start flying it in with the crane, that's another thing I liked about being a connector. We're usually, they call us the raising gang. So usually there's about 4 to 5 of us, and we work pretty tight knit with the crane. So it was nice for us to be able to keep moving in different things. It was never the same thing for me every day. I get a little bit bored of doing the same thing every day. So as a connector, you know, we get to a job site, we're able to receive the crane, get the crane all set up, you know what I mean, help him break everything down, get the outriggers out, throw his boom up in the air. What's up? What's up, man? What's your name? Money? What's up, man? How you doing, brother? Hopefully you're doing good this Monday morning. Thank you for being here. Um, so it was always fun for me to help out with the crane, be a crane hand, and eventually I did go to school for being a crane operator as well. So I'm a certified crane operator as well. And so actually being a connector actually got me interested in the cranes because we were pulling cable, we were helping adjust the pulleys and all those type of things. And on these crawling cranes, you know, we actually got to use a forklift to go ahead and connect all the pieces to these cranes, you know, the actual jib itself, the actual chile, you know, the one that goes up. So it was fun for me to learn all these different things as being a connector rather than just being a welder. Because when I was a welder, a lot of times we would wait for the connectors to do all these things and then like square out the ground, the slab, you know. If sometimes we're working on job sites that have end beds are like a flat steel, a flat plate, and they have Nelson studs on them. So it's like a square like this or something, and then it has like little feet coming off, and that's where the foundation guys, the cement guys, are able to tie the rebar to and really hold it in tight into the rebar cage. And so sometimes we have to put our columns on that, so that means we'd have to square it out, pop some lines and all that, find centers and between all of our columns. And that was always fun for me. It was always something new to do. And a lot of the times on these bigger construction projects, the commercial projects, we don't have embeds to weld down. It seemed like when I was in my younger years, we were doing a lot of bolt downs, a lot of anchor downs. So we would have anchors that were already formed into the cement, and then we would actually just come and put our column with the base plate on top of it. So that was always really nice because it seems when you do that, usually the cement guys do all the calculations for you as for putting down your anchors. But if they mess up for any reason, because there's human error in all this, then we end up having to try and figure it out. So sometimes that means, you know, like making a hole bigger, you know what I mean, on one side, making like an oval, that way you can shift over or whatever it needs to do, that way you can square it out. But as for being a connector, it was always more fun for me rather than just being a bolt up guy or being a welder or being a decking guy, because not to say anything bad about those. Oh, I am sorry about that, guys. My bad. That tow truck driver called me and they came to pick up my truck. So my my 2018 Nissan Titan with a 5.0 Cummins is actually going to be taken out there to the mechanics integrated performance with Joe. So Joe de la Rosa. So thank you to him. What was I talking about? I was talking about ironworking. We were speaking about, I guess, connecting, right? Regardless, you know, ironworking has given me everything I have, and I really, really like it. I feel that this is one of the trades where a lot of times is a good brotherhood of people that they take care of each other. You know what I mean? A lot of iron workers look out for each other when you're out there. You know what I mean? One of our sayings is one step from death. So we know that not every day is promised, and a lot of us take a lot of pride in our work. So that was one thing that really touched home the base with me because I like building stuff. I like to be able to use my hands and that, and then see an end product. What brings me a lot of um, like I guess I would say like I feel proud of myself. You know what I mean? I get happy when I see something that I've created with my own hands, and when a brotherhood of guys come together, what we are able to do. You know what I mean? And some of these structures I've built, man, they're high rises, mid rises. So it's kind of cool to be able to look at something that when you put your mind to it and you put your head to it, we're able to keep going and make some damn good money and provide for our families and still do a tough job where we feel like we're manly men. So I really like ironworking a lot. The welding, like I said, it wasn't I didn't fall in love with that part of the work as much as I did with the connecting part. But every now and then, I like welding. You know what I mean? It's very therapeutic. It's good to drop your hood and just concentrate on something. You know what I mean? When you're watching that puddle, a lot of times it's fun to do that. So I'm not saying that I hate it. It's just not my favorite part of the job. But now that I've been owning my own company now, I'm gonna go on 7 years now. We're about 6 years in. A lot of things have changed. Obviously, I'm not a connector anymore. I'm not out there in the field every single day. By this time right now, I would have been at work for around 2.5 hours, 3 hours already. I used to show up around 6:30 to work for our JSA meetings, our morning meetings, and like that. But eventually, I became a foreman, a superintendent, and eventually, I actually drug up and quit working 9 to 5, quit working for somebody else, and I opened up my own company. So I actually opened up a different company with a buddy of mine out there in Houston, Texas. So shout out to Jason Remington. Good morning, Mom. I love you. Good morning. I love you, Mom. God bless you. I actually started a company with Jason Remington, so shout out to him out there in Houston, Texas. I spoke to him, I think, about last year. Haven't really spoken to him. I don't talk to him all the time, but he is a very good friend of mine, and he's a big, big reason on why eventually I started this company. Though it may not have been through the best scenario, best reasons why I ended up starting this company and walked away from our company. But regardless to none, good or bad, I'm blessed to be here, and I'm glad that I'm grateful that everything happened the way it did. That way I was able to become self-sufficient and self-reliant and start this company. So when I did that, it happened to be good to see you, son. I love you. I love you too, Mom. Um, so right now I'm very excited because I'm able to speak to people about kind of my journey from being an iron worker, a helper, to being a welder, to being a rigger, to being a bolt up hand, and then eventually I was a connector. I did that for a couple of years, and then I became a foreman. Did that for a little while, and then I became a superintendent. And once I became a superintendent, I opted out and actually started my own company. So these years have been pretty crazy. Honestly, since we started this, it's been up and down. It's not always consistently, making money, making money, making money, but it's also not always consistently not working, not making money. A lot of the big reasons why I hemorrhaged so much money in my early years is because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing in this field of being an owner and operator rather than just somebody that's working, putting in bolts, reading a plan, and finding the next piece to put in. It was a little bit harder to actually convince myself and let myself understand that I'm no longer just an iron worker. Now I'm a businessman. So it actually took me a significant amount of time. I had to let go of a lot of vices to actually understand that I need to be the best version of myself to actually make this a profitable company and be capable to, you know, um, not only show myself but show my family and show the world that everything is possible if you have a goal and you live your life with intent. A lot of times we find ourselves putting goals in front of ourselves, and then we're also the ones that put the goals. We also hinder ourselves from achieving those goals for whatever reasons, insecurities. Life happens and we start making excuses. um, what I've learned is over time, a lot of times when something's going to happen, we don't have control of it. All we have control is how we react to it or what we can do. So like a couple of my job sites right now, I have some substations, police stations in Corpus Christi. Those job sites should have started maybe about 2.5 months ago, and right now we're still waiting for the north side one to start, and the south side is still plenty far behind the north side. So instead of getting mad and trying to push the schedule and get to where I need to get my draws and get paid, a lot of times all you can control is what we can do. So if they're not ready for us, instead of getting all bent out of shape and all that, a lot of times what I do is I just concentrate on something else. I try to find something else that I can actually prioritize my mind to. So in this ironworking, a lot of times you can do a lot of different things. There's structural steel, there's industrial, which is like a lot of those refineries and turnarounds and things like that. And then there's like residential. So for me, I've been doing a lot of structural steel. That's where I got like most of my experience in the structural, building high rises, medical facilities, stores and things like that, hotels and things like that. Um, I also have a lot of experience in metal buildings, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today about ironworking, because in metal buildings, pre-engineered metal buildings, well, you can buy them from like Mueller, Rigid, and places like that. But then they also have what we do out here in the valley a lot in RGV, the Rio Grande Valley, is we do a lot of like in-house fabrication. So we'll buy like stock steel and we'll actually fabricate everything on site for you and actually build it. So one thing that I did when I was in my early 20s, my mid 20s, I was around 24, 25 when I did this. I worked for a place over there in Bernie, Texas. And when I was working for them, that guy actually did nothing but like luxury barn dominiums and like high-end barn dominiums. And that's kind of what I've been thinking about. I want to do. I want to cater to those type of clients, those type of people out here in the valley. So I've been coming up with another name. I'm gonna get a DBA, doing business as and things like that, to kind of separate the entities from South Structural Steel, which is my company, the one I do all of my structural steel with, my commercial work, and then this one, because I do want to start kind of opening the horizons and broadening my ways of making money. But I also want to stick with ironworking because I do this, and I understand this trade a lot and I enjoy it. I know there's people that are in this trade that don't really enjoy it, and for those people, I would say it's similar to like fighters. Whenever they start thinking about retiring, I think it's time for you to get out. If you don't enjoy this work, I don't see the sense in doing this work, because this work is very demanding of your mental state, very demanding of your physical state, and it's very demanding of you a lot of times not to be home. Unfortunately, just because we live in the valley doesn't mean that we're always going to get the contracts that are in the valley. It seems that a lot of these general contractors, when they bid out work, they're not finding local people. They bring people from other states, and the same thing for me is when I'm bidding work. In Louisiana, in Oklahoma, in Florida, and all of Texas, a lot of times these jobs, they're not hiring local contractors, though there might be plenty, and fundamentally they know what they're doing and procedurally they'll get it done, but they're not hiring those guys. These GCs, they broaden they broaden their chances, and they try to get as many contractors to bid, and it just always seems that we don't tend to get the ones here in town unless we kind of know somebody and we have the connections to get those, which is nice. But a lot of times I don't like doing those jobs because those start feeling more like favors than a project, and I don't like doing favors. Um, there's a saying: if you know how to do something, don't do it for free. And I believe that, but I also believe that we shouldn't. How I say, we shouldn't just like nepotism. We don't want to just have the people that we know here working here like that because maybe we're not best. And a lot of times me, when I worked out there in the field, I was able to learn from a lot of people, because those guys didn't come from where I came from. They came from all sorts of different backgrounds. They've worked in all sorts of different places, and it just helped me learn a lot, because if you're comfortable, you're never going to grow. So if I would have stayed just I don't like doing favors. I realize that if you're comfortable, you're not going to grow, and I like understanding that we need to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's something that I learned from Dan Peña. He's like a billionaire now, and he taught me that. A lot of times I was the type of person that found a safe place, and but the thing with favors, you are then always expected to. Yep, exactly. So I realized that if I could get uncomfortable, if I was uncomfortable in a situation, it's probably because I haven't been there before, I haven't done this before, and it helped me realize that if I could learned to be comfortable in a situation where I really wasn't comfortable when I first walked in. Then by the time that I was comfortable with it, I grew as a person. So that helped me. And I really understood that I needed to grow to be better. And every time I put myself in an uncomfortable situation, I ended up learning from that situation. Whether it was because we failed and I learned what not to do, or it was because we succeeded and I learned that I was capable and able to do it. So, putting myself in uncomfortable situations is something that I learned to do, and I've recently started to do it more and buckle down on it again because I realized that I don't want to be living a mediocre life. I want to live a life that I can get the most out of myself and most out of my journey here. That being said, when I started this company, a lot of people I was doing work for were people that I knew, people that were hiring me locally and things like that. And I'd build a relationship with them, and they'd keep on working me. They keep on hiring me for other projects and stuff like that. And they started feeling more like favors than it did business. Um, when you're doing a job, a lot of times you're gonna bid a job out, and they might ask you what's the best you could do. A lot of the times, my response is the number I gave you on the quote. I would not. I'm the type of person that I would not send a quote exponentially higher on profit rates just so that I can try and get a lot of money off of one project. I do believe that I know I want to be very wealthy and I want to have money and I want to be secure in myself with financially in life, but I don't want to do that off of one project. I never really understood that of kind of I don't know how you would call it, like gouging the prices on these structures because you want to make a whole bunch of money on one project. Me, I was always on the mind frame that if I could get 5 to 6 projects and medium in the middle, meet it in the middle and price it, then I would probably make more profit than if I was just price one highly, because the chances of me actually getting that one job are a lot slimmer than if I priced them all at a mid-range price and then sold more projects. I'd probably make more money, and eventually in due time that actually did help me out. It actually worked that way. I did start like an in-house financing program, and that ended up kind of just biting me in the butt. So I closed that off, and then that's when I kind of moved over to the commercial side of things, which where I'm at right now, where usually between like 9 o'clock at night and 11 at night, I'll sit down and on certain days and I'll prioritize just bidding. I'll go through my emails. I'll find certain projects that look appealing to me, and I feel that we can finish them in a good amount of time and do also a good job on doing them. You know what I mean? You want the quality to be there as well. So I look for jobs like that. Like right now, there's in Liberty Hills, Texas, there's a Texas Regional Bank that we're bidding right now. So I worked on that a little bit last night, and I'm gonna be working on it today. And then we have a barn dominium type of thing here in the valley that we're bidding right now. But basically, what I want to say is there's so many different avenues that you can get to ironworking. A lot of these people that come into the trade, they feel like they have to do just whatever they're told when they get on the job site. You get there, you're a green hand, you're the rigger, boom, that's it, and then you'll be a rigger for the rest of your life. I want people to understand that there's certain positions in ironworking. You need the helpers, obviously. You need the flaggers. You need the machine operators. You need the welders, the bolt-up guys, the riggers. You need, what else? The detail guys. You need all these different people, but there's also people that are like the estimators. There's the project managers. There's safety coordinators. There's the foremans, the lead men. There's the superintendents. There's so many different avenues that if you walk through a door that said, I want to be an iron worker, you'd actually come to a hallway that had probably like 30 different doors behind it. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. That's what I really want to express to you, that when you come into a trade, don't feel like you're stuck. Don't feel like you don't have a way out of this. Don't feel like there is nothing else you could do. One of my really, really good friends in life, Mo Torres, Moses the third, he actually was one of the longest employees that I had for a long time, became one of my really, really good friends. And he no longer works here. He no longer works for me. He actually quit. He didn't quit because we had any problems between us or anything like that. He actually quit because he was tired of welding. His eyes were hurting him and certain things like that. He had his own personal matters that he was going through, and he quit. And now he's doing like fiber optic, I believe, or something like that. But he's making damn good money. He's doing well for himself. So even if you were to come into a trade and put 5, 6, 10 years, 20 years in there, and then you realize this isn't for me, there's always an avenue of life. There's always a way that you can make money. As long as you're living your life with intent, you have a goal. I feel like there's nothing that could really stop you. A lot of times, like I said, we're the ones that hinder ourselves more than anything. We'll convince ourselves to stay in a certain position. We'll convince ourselves to stay in a certain job, or whatever it might be, because the money's there. It's going to be there. It's comfortable, like I said. And I want you to know that in ironworking, you can make a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. There's union ironworking, there's non-union ironworking, and I hope to be like a bridge, the gap between those two people, between those two entities, because I did work for the local 66. Being Yes, I have actually, and I'm actually. Thank you, David. Good morning, for asking that. Have you considered being a AISC certified erector? Yes, I have. We're actually going through some procedures right now, to become that, and I actually work with a certified shop right now that fabricates everything. They're actually like my business partner, go hand in hand. So I'm actually trying to do that to become a preferred contractor and then actually like level up. But a big thing, what I'm trying to do right now, because my company, thank God, and fortunately for me, my company has enough work, and we've pretty much got to the point where we have about 4 general contractors that gave me a shot, and we did pretty well because I was still out there in the field at that point, welding, ironworking, manning the machines, doing everything. I was owner and operator at that point in time. That it was nice because we were able to really solidify ourselves with those contractors. So now I've become a pretty the pretty good acquaintance with them, where if they send me a bid, they know they know the square footage that I like to work, they know what we can do. And if they send them to us, and if I put an estimate, I put a bid in for that job, most likely I'm going to have it granted to me. So that's pretty cool for the structural steel side, for the commercial side of my company, South Structural Steel, because I'm not having to like constantly be campaigning for work, marketing ourselves for work, because that in itself is a whole other, it's a whole other one. That's a whole other fucking circus. I don't mean to cuss. I'm sorry. It's a whole other circus. So it's hard sometimes to do that and be operating the company, doing payroll, renting the machines, the per diems, the hotels, and all that stuff in between. So luckily and fortunately for us, God has blessed us, and we've showed up and proven ourselves with these opportunities that now the contractors pretty much keep us busy. But as of right now, I'm trying to start I want to be able to either purchase metal buildings or fab them in-house. We have a fabrication company that we work with, a shop that we work with right now. They actually fab all of our structural steel for us, so we work hand in hand. The buildings that he fabs, we go erect them, and the buildings that I need fab, because I'm gonna go erect, he'll fab them for me. So we got a pretty good thing going on with that. But I do want to start venturing into like more high-end barn dominiums, luxury type shops for cars and high-end vehicles and things like that. My show, obviously, here on my channel is called Heavy Steel and Hot Rods. Heavy steel being the steel erection side and the construction side, and the hot rods being the cars. I have a 2009 Stage 2 tuned Mustang, and I have a 1972 C10 Cheyenne, and I have a 2018 Nissan Titan with a 5.0 Cummins Midnight Edition. So I do like rare cars, and I do like vehicles. I like that whole scene of the cars and stuff, and that's what I brought to the table for my YouTube. But now I want to start seeing if I can build for people like that. I do know a lot of people that build cars, do know a lot of people that on social media that give away vehicles on giveaways and things like that. And I don't necessarily want to start giving away cars. To me, I would like to stick on giving away like welding machines, welding hoods, and things like that on my giveaways. But nonetheless, I do want to start venturing out to see if we could do metal buildings, but high-end metal buildings. I've done a ridiculous amount of metal buildings here in the valley since I started my company and since we moved out here during on 2020 or so. But it just they were just for like residential, regular people, regular 9 to 5ers. I'm trying to really prioritize and campaign and market towards a higher end client. Not only because I want to be able to make more money. Obviously, the profit is why we started a business, to make money. But I also want to do it because I enjoy building these things. I enjoy the process of it. I enjoy seeing them once they're done. So for me, if I could be able to build, a pretty badass metal building where we can incorporate stone and wood and different things like that, not just all the way metal. Do some nice different gutters, different downspouts, different that something to make it look super nice. You know what I mean? Customizable per client. That way, everything is exactly how they want it. Kind of make their dream metal building. That's what I kind of want to do, and not have such a massive turnover rate of job sites. So maybe if we were to do maybe like 100 by 100 metal building for somebody that just so happens to be, this is just all just me talking, I'm just saying. If it was gonna be for like cars or something, do a massive garage or something, or for like I've done one for my cousin before for his 18-wheeler business. It was I believe it was like 85 or 80 by 100 or 150 or something. I forget the actual numbers. Years ago we built it for him, but something like that I would like to bid it a little bit more expensive, but because we're going to be putting a lot more quality materials into the building, maybe do epoxy flooring and maybe some suspended ceilings, or maybe like some open ceilings, vaulted ceilings. That way you could see the actual steel or the wood, whatever it might be, and it can be open like that. And just make it more high end, and that's what everyone I'm looking for right now. As for I'm not even gonna run it through my same company. I'm gonna start a different entity to actually run it through, because I don't want it to kind of mix itself. I don't want to be washing the same hands. I don't want two different hands washing in the same bowl, if you want, you know what I mean. I want to be able to let South Structural Steel continue what it's doing. I have a very good foreman, Andrew Jackson, El Presidente. He runs all that stuff over there for me. I got the guys to follow him and do what they need to do. And right now, I really want to see if I could start something here locally, because here in the Valley, though not everybody may be millionaires and not everybody may be super wealthy, super rich, there is a lot of money to be made here in the Valley. And nonetheless, there's people that have a lot more than we might think. And I want to be able to see if I can kind of bridge the gap between metal buildings, steel erectors, and see if we can. Yes, thank you, David. Thank you. Yeah, that usually opens a lot of doors for projects. Yeah, that's honestly what I'm trying to do. So I know a couple people. If you guys have watched my channel before, a couple months back, I went to one of my buddies' best friend's brother's um, company, and he has hundreds of vehicles there, all sorts of different kinds of cars, resto mods, old vehicles, new vehicles. He had a DeLorean sitting outside. He had a Shelby 500, I believe it was. He had multiple GTOs, multiple Corvettes. Every year you could think of, Hellcats. Um, there was a Lamborghini Urus in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Good morning, Henry. How you doing, brother? Good morning. Good Monday morning to you. Hopefully you're staying blessed up. Thank you for being here. And those are the type of clients that I want to see if I can cater to. So maybe if South Structural Steel may be able to turn in a 3 month time period, we may be able to close out 3 to 4 structural steel jobs. They might be 20,000 square foot, 25,000 square foot. If we could close out those job sites in the same amount of time, I would want to do one building that might take that 3 or 4 months. So I would like to do it turnkey as well. I do know a lot of contractors that actually own cement businesses and things like that. So I want to be able to utilize them for what they can offer, so we can all make money together. So if I was going to be able to sell a building, a higher end building um, for like a garage or something, then I could bring him in to do all the site work, do the beams and fill in the slab, do all that good stuff. And then maybe once we erect the building, do like an epoxy flooring, things like that. You know what I mean? I do know another acquaintance of mine is actually like a screen printer. They do a lot of graphic designing. They do a lot of clothes and things like that. But they also do car wraps. And one thing they also do is they do like wallpapers and things of that nature. So I would like to do that, because when I did it really all stemmed from my cousin's building. When I did my cousin's years ago, I really wasn't thinking like this. But when I did it, all this time I've been able to walk away and kind of look back on it. We did his building. We were in charge of everything. We did the cement, the site work. We cleared the land, did the site work, got the cement ready, the slab, foundation. And we actually fabricated the building up there, did the whole building, the structure, and then we built everything inside. So he has a loft, a restroom, and an office in there as well. So that's something that I would like to do, but just on a higher end. You know what I mean? So when we're doing these things, let these clients pick out what they want, whether it's marble, whether it's quartz, granite, whatever it is. Let them choose those things, and then I can go ahead and work it all out with my guys and get it all built for them, turnkey. When they show up, it's a plot of land, trees everywhere, looks like nothing. When we leave, they have their dream building. You know, we hand them a pair of keys, and we're able to make some money off of that. And obviously, I like to do it because I enjoy the projects. I like to do it because it makes me money. I like to do it because I'm able to film and get content for the YouTube to show people what you're able to do and what's out there. There's a lot of different ways that you can make money in ironworking. You know, metal buildings is one of them that I'm going to start venturing into. I walked away from it because it's very detail oriented, and if you don't have people that know how to use drills, impacts, things like that, you'll be scratching the panels, bending the panels, putting holes in them that eventually our warranty, our no leak workmanship warranty, scope of work, will end up having to eat a lot of money sending people back, back, and back. You know, so I want to make sure that we have the workers that are proud of the work they do and they're giving us good quality. That way we can go ahead and hand that over, that same quality to the customer. And then hopefully that can open up, like Mr. David said, that usually opens up a lot of doors for projects. So if we can do one project for somebody and we can knock it out of the park and they can see that we're not just some dumb brutes, iron workers that are just slapping some fucking steel together and covering everything up. If they can see that we're actually capable and able to do something that at the end of it will look freaking nice, then that notoriety will follow you. You know, that notoriety will follow you. And I know that because I've actually had it happen for me. When I first got here to the valley during COVID, there really wasn't much going on. And I didn't have any past references. I didn't have any jobs I had done other than the ones in Houston. Just so happened I had moved to Houston maybe 2 years before, or a year and a half before this, and maybe a year before, and I still had my San Antonio number. So my circumstance was I was moving to Donna, Texas, out here in the RGV, Rio Grande Valley, from Houston with a San Antonio number trying to sell work. So I kind of looked like a scam artist, honestly. I'd show up and people would ask me for my number. I had a 210 number from San Antonio that asked me where I came from. I was from Houston and I was living here in the Valley. I'm from the Valley originally. I was born in Harlingen and raised here, but I left for about almost 9 years. So when people would ask me, well, where are you coming from? Where are you from? I would say I was from Houston because that's where I was literally coming from. I felt like a liar to say that I was from the Valley. So it was just like a weird dynamic where I had a San Antonio number coming from Houston trying to get work in the Valley. So people were real skeptical about giving me money or giving me a signed contract to come work on their home because they felt that I was just going to either dip out the first time they got me some money or I wasn't going to do it at all. So I understood that. So I went ahead and changed my number and I got a local number and I just started, really campaigning, marketing myself, going out there, talking to people, passing out flyers as much as I could. But at that point in time, I was desperate. I needed work. I needed money. So I really wasn't looking at what I could provide and what I could provide for them other than just building something that they needed right now. I really wasn't building a campaign. I wasn't gonna structure a procedure where I was gonna get the most out of my projects. I was just trying to get a project. So now that I'm years into this, I realize that okay, I want to have higher end projects and I want to have the projects, the structural steel projects that are constantly coming in that I can constantly have my guys on. So that's kind of where I stand right now. I'm excited. I'm scared. I'm worried. All these things, but it's all part of it. When I feel those things, I know that it's just my brain and my body telling me that I care about it. If I didn't care about it, I wouldn't think twice. I probably wouldn't have even had this idea. So that's one thing I really, really want to do in the near future. Kind of directly after that, if you guys have been watching my videos, y'all see that I have been talking about starting an ironworking school, but that's going to take a lot of money. You know, that's not going to be right now. Well, if God blesses me, we would be able to get it right now. But it's all in due time. It's all a journey. It's all a process. So I'm going to enjoy the process. I'm not going to try and rush it. But one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to speak it into existence, and I do want to start an ironworking school. The only school that I know that teaches anything relatively close to ironworking would be Local 66 in San Antonio, Texas. So for us, it's about 4.5 hours away from the valley, and I feel that that doesn't really reach the masses like it could. I don't want to open up another faction of a local out here. I would like to open up a school only because I want to see if I'm capable of doing that. That entails me finding some land, um, whether or not it has a structure already, so we can turn it into the school, which is going to have like welding booths, classrooms, an area for machinery, so we can do rigging, bolt up. So I would like to actually have spoke to my father about this, and I had spoke to my previous partner about this, about actually having like raw steel out there, maybe fab like a mezzanine or something simple that we could throw some columns up, throw some fucking main structured beams, some filler beams, throw some decking, just so that the guys that are taking these classes can actually get a feel for what it is to be a steel director and not have to wait for the job site. Honestly, I feel like you're only going to get the best experience from your job sites, because I did go through Local 66, I did go through a combination welding course, and I tend to learn everything in the field. Everything that I walked away with, other than lash, length, angle, speed, and heat, is what I learned in my welding combination school, and it was a repetitive measures to just keep welding, get your hours behind the hood, which is all good, but nothing is going to teach you like the field, because the field is always going to be different. The dynamics of the field, what you encounter today, you may not encounter for another 2-3 years, but when you do, from that first day that you encountered it, you're going to take those lessons with you, and you'll know how to do this. And a lot of times, that's the best teacher, life, being out there. So I would like to kind of replicate, because I know a lot of locals for the iron workers, they do the column climbs, the bell ringing, all that stuff, and that's nice, but that's very like one-sided. Can you climb a column? Yeah, but can you climb a column and actually tie in a beam to it? And once you tie it in that beam, will you be able to hook your beamer up to that beam, cut loose off your choker, off your cheater cable, and climb onto that beam safely, and then learn how to unhook a crane or unrig it, cut it loose and things like that. So I would like to bring real world scenarios into a classroom or into like a workshop scenario like that for us, because iron workers, I feel, don't get the flowers that we deserve. These guys, a lot of times, they're felons. A lot of times, they're people that didn't graduate. There are a lot of rejects, honestly, and I say that with the most love in my heart that I can, because shit, I was one of them. I am one of them. So I understand that a lot of these guys didn't fit in other places, and they fit in just perfectly here. And these are the guys that travel all over the nation. They boom out, they go everywhere, they sacrifice their bodies, their mental health, their physical strengths, everything, so that they can build our towns, our cities, our states, and our society. So I really, really have a lot of love for iron workers, local, non-union guys, local guys, union guys, everybody. I have a lot of love for them. I want everybody to stay safe. I want everybody to make as much money as you can, and I want everybody to have pride in what they do, because iron workers, not everybody can do our job. Technically, everybody could do our job, but not everybody chooses to do this job. And for those who chose to do this, I want to give as much respect as I can and give you your flowers, because we wouldn't have most of what we have in this society without it. I've built amusement parks, I've built hospitals, I've built hotels, I've built so many things. And when you stand back and look at it, ironworkers have a lot to do with that. You know what I mean? We would even say that since we build the structure, we lay the foundation for a lot of these guys to come in and do their work. You know what I mean? So the same way the foundation guys lay the foundation for us to come and put our steel on that pad, we kind of lay the foundation and we put the building up so that all these other trades can come in. So these trades being, plumbers, electricians, framers, the what are they called, the fire safety guys, you know what I mean, all these different type of things. We make way for those guys to go ahead and have a place to come work. And much respect to all those guys as well, because just as much work as the iron workers put into building the society, we could not do it without these plumbers. You know what I mean? Wouldn't be able to flush a toilet without these plumbers. The electricians, man, we have light. Look how beautiful this is to have light. How blessed we are to have light in all of these buildings and all these homes. You know what I mean? So all these things are my way of just trying to give back to my trade. You know, I would like to start a school that we can hire people that maybe are not fit to be out there in the field anymore. You know, physically, they cannot move like they used to. One thing about this, I do believe, is this is a young man's trade. You know, um, I would love to see the older generation get the respect that they deserve and get promotions. You know, be able to be foremans, leads, project managers, safety coordinators, all these different things. You know, and I want to be able to kind of. My bad about that, guys. I had to come pay the yard guy. Yard got done. Beautiful out here now. That's where that shop's gonna go. Guess I'm gonna go ahead and close out this live, guys. Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay safe. Y'all stay grateful. Don't look back and let's count yesterday's money and live our life with some